I never expected restoring a 150-year-old cabin mansion to turn into a war with the craziest HOA president alive. The day I arrived, a woman screeched up my driveway claiming the entire lodge belonged to her son. But her lies hid something darker, something worth millions. And she wanted me gone. Most people buy homes for peace. Maybe a yard, a white picket fence. I bought a 150-year-old, half-rotten, half-haunted-looking cabin mansion sitting on 5 acres of towering pines, and I felt like I'd finally found heaven. My name's Ethan Ward, and I restore things. Old wood, old stories, old places everyone else gives up on. This mansion, the Blackwood Lodge, was built in 1874 by a logging tycoon who believed in 2 things: giant fireplaces and bigger secrets. It had 12 rooms, 3 chimneys, and a wraparound porch wide enough to land a helicopter on. It also had raccoons living in the upstairs hallway. But hey, nothing's perfect. The moment I stepped out of my truck, the smell of pine needles and old timber hit me like a memory I'd never lived but always wanted. My wife, Maya, walked beside me, hugging her sweater. "It looks big," she whispered. I laughed. "That's one way to say possibly cursed." She nudged me playfully. "Well, if anyone can bring it back to life, it's you." I kissed her forehead. "Welcome home." We didn't know it yet, but this place wasn't just a home. It was a battlefield, and the war was about to start. Day 1. The sun is shining. Birds chirping. Me, happily prying off a rotten strip of gingerbread trim with a crowbar. Day 2. Same. Day 3. A screech so sharp I swear it cracked the air in half. It came from halfway down my gravel driveway. Long, winding, tree-lined, gorgeous. A golf cart the same color as stale oatmeal barreled up like a possessed shopping cart. Dust flew everywhere. And then I saw her. Short haircut, so sharp it could file metal. Visor pulled so low I wasn't sure she had eyeballs. Khaki polo, beige slacks, color palette, oppression. HOA Karen. Real name, Margaret Foreman, president of Whispering Pines Estates. She didn't step out of the cart. She emerged, like a villain from a soap opera. Behind her, 3 more golf carts slid into formation. 4 board members stepped out wearing matching beige uniforms like they were the world's saddest cult. Karen took 1 step toward my porch, then stopped abruptly like the wood itself offended her. "You," she barked. Her voice? Imagine a belt sander hitting a nail. I held up my crowbar. "That's me. You are in violation of multiple covenants." I blinked. "Lady, I just got here." She jabbed a perfectly manicured claw at my cabin. "This structure, this eyesore, belongs to Whispering Pines HOA, meaning I have full jurisdiction over all activities, alterations, and restorations." I let out a short laugh. "Your HOA stops at the stone marker half a mile down the road." Her lip curled. "That's where you're wrong." Behind me, Maya stepped onto the porch. "Oh," she whispered. "We have visitors." Karen puffed out her chest. "This lodge," she said dramatically, "is part of our legacy clause. It belonged to my great-uncle." "Meaning?" She paused, building tension like she thought she was starring in a telenovela. "It is my son's inheritance." Every bird in the trees went silent. I blinked. Maya blinked. Even the raccoons staring from the upstairs window blinked. "Your son's inheritance?" I repeated slowly. "Ma'am, look at this place. If you're leaving this to your kid, that's child abuse." The board members gasped collectively. Karen's face went purple, like eggplant-level purple. "How dare you?" I shrugged. "Just being honest." "You are trespassing on HOA property," she shrieked. "And your illegal construction ends now." "Ma'am," I said calmly. "The county map says otherwise." She snapped her fingers. "Board squad, post the notices." The beige cult scattered, slapping bright orange violation stickers on every surface they could find. Posts, porch beams, my newly glazed window. Maya gaped. "Are they tagging our house like property?" "Correction," I murmured, peeling one of the stickers off. "They're tagging my patience." Karen stepped closer. "You will comply," she hissed, "or we will make you comply." Then she spun on her heel and stormed back to her golf cart. I watched her go. One word formed in my mind. War. Little did I know, Karen hadn't even started yet. The next morning, the sun was shining, the birds were singing, and my driveway was chained shut. A massive steel chain, padlock big enough to anchor a ship, and a professionally printed sign that read, "Private property, Whispering Pines, HOA, no trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted. I sipped my coffee. Wow, I muttered. She woke up violently today. As I walked toward the gate, a golf cart zoomed down the road. This one didn't carry Karen. It carried a guy built like a refrigerator left out in the rain. Shaved head, neck thicker than my thigh, polo shirt barely surviving the pressure. He blocked the road sideways and lumbered toward me. "You can't pass," he grunted. "Pretty sure I can," I said. "That's my driveway." "Not anymore." "Unlock it," I said calmly. "No." I raised an eyebrow. "Why not?" He smirked. "President Foreman's orders. You got to fill out a vehicle access request form. Processing time, 72 hours. I burst out laughing. I couldn't help it. "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." His smile faded. "You got a smart mouth," he growled. "People get hurt talking like that. And people get arrested," I replied, "for blocking private property." His eyes narrowed. I turned around casually and hit record on my phone. I walked a few steps, turned back toward him, and raised my voice just enough. "My wife has a doctor appointment today," I said. "I need to leave." "Not my problem," he grunted. "So you're saying you're physically preventing me from taking my sick wife to the doctor?" "Damn right I am." "Perfect." I stepped toward the chain. He shoved me. Hard. I stumbled back, nearly falling. The whole thing caught on camera in crisp 4K. I tapped stop recording and smiled. He froze. "You filmed that," he whispered. "Every beautiful second." His face was drained of color. "You're screwed," I said cheerfully. "Tell Karen she'll need a better lawyer and a bigger security guard." I walked back toward the cabin, leaving him standing in existential crisis. By noon, I'd already emailed the clip to my brother, our family lawyer. And by evening, I had security cameras installed on every tree, corner, and post on the property. I thought that would deter her. I was wrong. Karen didn't slow down. She escalated. 2 days later, a courier showed up at my porch, looking traumatized. "Delivery, Mr. Ward." He handed me a thick envelope and sprinted back to his van like the paper might explode. Inside, a lawsuit. Or something pretending to be one. A bold, dramatic heading. "Lease pendants property ownership under dispute." Maya paled. "What does that mean?" "It means," I said slowly, "Karen is pretending she's suing us." But something felt off. The county seal looked wrong. The stamp looked fuzzy. The ink wasn't the right shade. I pulled out an old permit from another project and held them side by side. The forgery was obvious. "She faked a court document," I whispered. That's a felony, right?" Maya said. "Big felony." I grabbed the envelope and drove straight to the county courthouse. The clerk typed the case number. Frowned. "Sir, this case number doesn't exist." She examined the stamp, then gasped. This is not one of ours. This stamp is fake. Someone forged this." She wrote a notarized letter documenting the forgery herself. "Forgery of court filings," she said quietly, "is extremely serious. I'll be forwarding this to the district attorney." I walked out feeling 10 feet tall. Karen had just destroyed her own case. Except this wasn't the case. It was an obsession, a plan, a mission, and I still didn't understand why she wanted this property so badly she'd commit crimes over it. But I would soon. And the real answer? It would make every crazy thing she'd done look normal. The next morning, I stepped outside with a fresh cup of coffee, and my heart stopped. A massive red stop work order sticker, half the size of my truck, was slapped across the main support beam of the porch. Bright red, block letters, official looking. My blood pressure spiked. Maya rushed out behind me. "Oh my God!" Again, the sign screamed. "All construction must cease immediately by order of Whispering Pines Historical Committee." Historical Committee? Whispering Pines didn't have anything historical. Their idea of preservation was making sure all mailboxes were the same shade of beige. I grabbed the sign, peeled it off, and marched straight to the truck. At the county office, the clerk took one glance and burst out laughing. "This font isn't even ours," she said. "Our notices don't use Comic Sans." I stared. Comic Sans? She used Comic Sans. The clerk wiped her eyes. "And the signature, Commissioner Harriet L. McDonald?" "Sir, Harriet is our receptionist." I rubbed my temples. "So this is another fake." "Oh, absolutely," she said. "This is impressively bad." She added the bogus notice to Karen's growing file of crimes. As I walked out, the clerk called after me. "Sir, for what it's worth, everyone here is rooting for you." I forced a smile. Thanks. I have a feeling I'm going to need it. I didn't know how right I was. Because while I was laughing at her ridiculous fake notices, Karen was planning something dangerous. Something she wouldn't walk away from. It happened at 2:13 a.m. I know the exact time, because the motion camera at the side entrance pinged my phone with a notification so loud it jerked me awake. Movement detected. East door. I jumped out of bed. Maya sat up instantly, clutching the blanket. Ethan, what was that? I didn't answer. I sprinted for the hallway, grabbed the baseball bat leaning next to the old armoire, and headed downstairs. The cabin was dark, silent, except for a faint crackling sound. At first I thought it was the porch settling. Then I smelled it. Smoke. Not a chimney. Not a wood stove. Burning fabric. Burning oil. I threw open the side door, and my stomach flipped. Someone had stuffed oil-soaked rags into a corner next to the foundation and lit them. Flames licked up the wall, small but growing, hungry. Are you kidding me? I grabbed the fire extinguisher, blasted the corner, and choked on the smoke cloud. Behind me, I heard footsteps. I spun, but I was too late. A hooded figure in black sprinted from behind the shed, jumped the fence, and disappeared into the trees. I tried to chase, but the dark forest swallowed them instantly. Maya ran out onto the porch, shaking. Ethan, what's happening? They tried to burn the place, I gasped. She covered her mouth, eyes filling with tears. This is going too far. Let's leave, please. We can stay with my sister for a few days. No, I said firmly. I'm not letting her push us out. I'm scared. I know. I pulled her close. And that's exactly what she wants. I checked the cameras. And there it was. A grainy but clear clip of the intruder crouching by the wall, and the glint of the metal can they used. Then something else hit me. Behind the intruder, barely visible, was a golf cart parked down the road. Not just any cart. Karen's beige HOA president cart. Maya's voice cracked. You think she sent someone? I didn't answer. But inside I knew. I knew exactly who did this. And it meant we weren't dealing with petty harassment anymore. It meant Karen was willing to destroy history, burn property, risk lives, all for this land. All for something she wasn't telling us. The next morning, I called the sheriff's office. The deputy showed up, took notes, reviewed the footage, and shrugged. Hard to prosecute without a clear face, he said. My jaw clenched. So someone tries to burn down my house, and that's your response. He shifted awkwardly. Look, Karen's close to some people in the county. I gotta follow protocol. Translation, she had friends. Friends with badges. Fine. If the law couldn't stop her, then I needed someone who could fight back. That's when I met Tom. Tom lived 2 houses down, on the far edge of Whispering Pines. Tall guy in his 60s, beard like a retired lumberjack, always smelled faintly of cedar and rebellion. He pulled up that afternoon on his ATV and leaned on the railing. You're the new guy with the haunted mansion, he said. And you're the neighbor with the dramatic entrance. He grinned. I saw the fire trucks. I heard the yelling. Karen messing with you? Nonstop. He spat into the dirt. I've been waiting years for someone to stand up to that tyrant. I blinked. You don't like her? He laughed so hard, he nearly doubled over. Son, I've been fined for having a lawn gnome wearing sunglasses. I stared. That's real. Oh yeah. She said he was promoting gang culture. I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. Coming up for air, I said. She forged documents. Blocked our driveway. Tried to get us evicted. Tom nodded. Classic Karen. But trying to burn your place? That's new. My smile faded. You think she did it? Without a doubt. He crossed his arms. She's been obsessed with your land since before you bought it. Why? Tom shrugged. Not sure. But I heard she's in talks with some developer guy. Sketchy dude. Black Escalade. Shows up late at night. They argue. Then he leaves. A developer. Suddenly the dots started connecting. Tom kicked the porch post gently. Are you fighting back? Absolutely, I said. Good. He grinned again. I brought something to help. He held up a stack of old county maps, the kind printed on yellowing parchment paper. These, he said, are the original survey documents from the 70s. Karen hates these, because they prove exactly where the HOA boundaries stop. He tapped the map, and just like he said, the HOA line didn't touch my land. Not even close. I exhaled slowly. This could end everything. Tom winked. Oh, trust me. This is nothing. Nothing. Oh yeah, he said. Wait till you see what's buried in your foundation. I froze. My what? He chuckled. Old houses don't just have secrets. Sometimes they have treasure. I stared. Treasure? Before I could ask, Tom lifted a hand. Tomorrow, he said. Be ready. Then he revved his ATV and disappeared down the road. I stared after him. Treasure? In my foundation? What the hell had I gotten into? The very next morning, Tom banged on my door holding a cup of gas station coffee and a smile that suggested today's mission was chaos. Grab your gloves, he said. We're making Karen cry today. We walked down the road. Karen had installed 7 new HOA violation signs overnight. No construction beyond this point. Private HOA road. Trespassers will be fined. Permit required to use a driveway. My blood boiled. Tom cracked his knuckles. You know what these are? He asked. What? Unsecured property. He yanked the first sign out of the ground like he was uprooting a stubborn weed. I choked. Tom, what are you doing? County rules, he said casually. If signage is installed illegally on public right-of-way, citizens are allowed to remove it. And then, he grinned wickedly. Turn it in as lost property. I laughed so hard I bent over. We loaded all 7 signs onto the back of his ATV, drove straight to the sheriff's office, and stacked them neatly on the counter. The deputy blinked. Oh, what's this? Lost property, Tom said proudly. Someone misplaced their illegal signs. The deputy sighed deeply, the sigh of a man who's seen too much HOA drama. We'll put them in the hold. Tom patted the counter. Good man. We left. And across the road, hiding behind a pine tree like a cartoon villain, Karen watched us with her mouth open. Her eyes narrowed. Her fists clenched. Steam practically shot out of her ears. Tom waved at her cheerfully. She shrieked. Tom looked at me. And that, he said, is the sound of a woman realizing she's losing. I exhaled. For the first time since this nightmare began, it felt like we had a chance. But the next discovery would blow everything wide open. Because Tom wasn't joking. There really was something hidden under my cabin. And it was the reason Karen was willing to do anything to take my land. The morning after Operation Make Karen Scream, Tom showed up carrying a metal detector, a pry bar, and what looked suspiciously like an archaeological brush. You ready? He grinned. For what? I asked. To meet your cabin's past. We went to the North Foundation, the oldest part of the cabin mansion. The logs here were original, massive hand-cut timbers blackened by time, weather, and about a century of secrets. Tom knelt, running his hands along the stones. See this? He said. I squinted. At first, I saw nothing. Then I noticed faint, chiseled grooves between the rocks. It's a symbol, Tom explained. The original builder, Harlan Blackwood, marked certain walls. They usually meant something was stored behind them. Stored? I echoed. Like what? He smirked. Back then? Could be gold. Could be liquor. Could be documents. Could be a whole skeleton, for all we know. Maya slowly backed away. I vote for not skeletons. Tom pushed his metal detector against the base of the stone. Beep. A strong signal. His grin widened. Jackpot. We chipped away at the mortar between 2 stones. It didn't take long. The mortar was old and crumbly. After 20 minutes of digging, prying, and sweating, a stone shifted. Behind it, a small, dust-covered iron lockbox wrapped in rotting burlap. I nearly dropped it. This has been here for over 100 years, I whispered. Tom nodded solemnly. And Karen knows it. Know what? That your land, your cabin, is built over the original Blackwood archives. He stored everything here. Land deeds, maps, journals, permits, things that haven't seen daylight since the Civil War. My eyes widened. That means, Tom said, you might own more than just this acreage. Blackwood never fully registered all his claims. If his personal deeds are in here. He tapped the box. You could own half the ridge. My breath caught. And Karen? Oh, Tom said with a dark laugh. Karen knows very well. Her great-uncle was one of the last people to work with the Blackwoods. They passed down stories. She knows what's out here. She knows what it's worth. I stared at the box in my hands. But before we could open it, a car door slammed. We turned. Karen stood in the driveway, golf cart behind her, son beside her, 3 HOA board members forming a pathetic beige firing squad. Her son, a lanky man in his 20s wearing a backward cap, pointed at the box. That's OURS, he screamed. MOM said the treasure is our inheritance. Tom groaned. Dear Lord, she told him about the treasure? Idiot. Karen pointed at us dramatically. You too, she yelled, are stealing from a minor. I blinked. He's 23. He's young at heart. You're insane, Maya muttered. Karen stomped forward. I demand you hand over the historical artifacts belonging to the Foreman family. Tom glanced at me, deadpan. Her logic is like a squirrel driving a truck. I swallowed my laugh. Then Karen lunged. Actually lunged, like a wild turkey with vengeance issues, reaching for the lockbox. Tom stepped in front of her, arms crossed. You need to step back, Margaret. I will not, she shrieked. This is our legacy. She tried to push past him. Tom didn't move an inch. Her son jumped forward, attempting an assisted tackle like we were playing some backyard football game. He slammed into Tom and ricocheted backward like he'd hit a tree trunk. Karen gasped. Sweetie, are you okay? My shoulder, he cried, rolling around in the grass. He barely touched you, Maya whispered. Karen glared at me. This isn't over, she snarled. I will take what belongs to my family. Then she stormed back to her cart, dragging her whining adult child behind her. Tom sighed. That woman's gonna implode one day, and I hope I'm holding popcorn when it happens. I looked down at the box again. What do we do with this? Tom smiled. We open it. We carried it inside. And what was inside would expose the entire HOA. The lockbox wasn't locked, just rusted nearly shut. A screwdriver, 2 hammers, and a dramatic grunt later, it popped open. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth, were old handwritten ledgers, surveyor sketches, land ownership notes, 2 sealed envelopes labeled private, and a map of the ridge with boundary lines. But one document stood out. A deed. A very old one. Original. Hand-signed. Notarized by the logging commissioner in 1875. And under land description, it said, Blackwood Estate, 22 acres from Riverbend Ridge to Old Pine Ravine. My breath hitched. 22 acres, I whispered. But the county only recognizes 5. Tom nodded. Because the other 17 were never recorded after the Blackwood family scattered. They've been in limbo ever since. But now, he tapped the deed. You just inherited them. Holy, this is huge. Maya covered her mouth. This land could be worth millions. I wasn't the only one who realized that. Because that evening, I got an anonymous email. From unknown@securemail.com, she's lying to you attachment. 1 PDF file. Maya peeked over my shoulder. What is it? My stomach tightened. A developer contract. A corporate letterhead. Riverbend Properties, LLC Land Acquisition Agreement. Terms. HOA President Margaret Foreman to deliver 5-acre parcel and adjoining land. Payment to Margaret Foreman, $2 million after transfer. Letter dated 3 months before I purchased the cabin. I couldn't breathe. Karen wasn't insane. She wasn't petty. She wasn't power-hungry. She was bought. Bought and desperate. Maya whispered. She planned this long before we even arrived. And she needed us gone by any means, I said. And the arson? Maya asked. My jaw tightened. She wanted to destroy the evidence, the cabin, the documents, everything. Tom stormed in when he heard the news. We have to expose her, he said. I knew she was dirty, but $2 million. She'd burned down the whole forest to get it. I sat down, shaking with adrenaline. She's going to escalate, I said. She's cornered. And people do dangerous things when they're cornered. Tom nodded grimly. Then tomorrow, he said, we go public. But before that could happen, Karen tried one last move. Her craziest one yet. Something that would bring the entire town to our porch. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of voices. Dozens of them. I walked outside and froze. Karen had organized a full neighborhood protest on my driveway. She stood at the front, waving a megaphone. This man is a thief, she screamed. He stole my family land and our inheritance. Everyone, chant with me. A dozen neighbors chanted uncertainly. Thief, thief, thief. Tom leaned on my railing, sipping coffee. Well, he said, she's finally lost the plot. I stepped forward. Karen pointed at me dramatically. There he is. The criminal. She turned to the crowd. Call the sheriff. Call the county. Call the news. Then, as if on cue, a black SUV pulled up. Karen smiled triumphantly. My attorney is here. But it wasn't her attorney. It was the developer. Tall. Expensive suit. Cold eyes. He strode toward Karen fast. What are you doing? He hissed. Karen blinked. I'm protesting. You fool, he snapped. Do you want the entire county to know about our deal? The crowd went silent. Karen froze. Good. Time to finish this. I walked forward holding the printed developer contract. Funny you mentioned that, I said. I have a copy right here. Gasps. People stepped back. Phones lifted for recording. The developer's face drained. Karen sputtered. That's fake. 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 I held up the ancient deed next. And this is the original Blackwood land grant. This cabin sits on 22 acres, not 5. The land you're trying to seize isn't even inside your HOA boundary. You've been lying for months. Maya read the notarization out loud. Tom added, and she forged county documents, and trespassed, and vandalized. The crowd slowly turned to Karen. Their chanting stopped. Someone whispered, wait. Karen lied. Another. She forged papers? A third neighbor. She tried to steal millions worth of land. Karen's lips trembled. No, you don't understand. He tricked me. Her son pointed at the ground. Mom said we were getting millions. Karen's soul left her body. The developer exhaled sharply, then hissed. You're finished. He turned and left without looking back. Karen's face went chalk white. Neighbors slowly backed away from her like she was radioactive. The HOA board members quietly removed their beige hats and walked home in shame. Karen stood alone, shaking, breathing fast, cornered. Again, her eyes locked on me. You, she whispered. You ruined everything. She charged forward. Tom stepped between us. Back off, Margaret. But she didn't. She shoved Tom, grabbed a landscaping rock, and raised it. Maya screamed. I braced myself, ready to block her. But she never swung. A sheriff's cruiser pulled in loudly, siren chirping once. Deputy Ramirez stepped out. Karen froze. He sighed. Margaret, we need to talk. And for the first time since this nightmare began. Karen looked scared. You'd think after being confronted by the sheriff, Karen would finally sit down, think about her choices, and maybe take a long detox bath. But no, Karen doubled down. The next day, every resident received an emergency mandatory HOA meeting notice shoved under their door or left in their mailbox. Bold letters, critical HOA affairs. All owners must attend. Tom knocked on my door waving the flyer. She's going to try one last stand, he said. Be ready. I laughed. At this point, she's like a villain refusing to die after falling off a cliff. Yeah, Tom said. But villains with paperwork are dangerous. The HOA meeting was held in the Whispering Pines Community Center. Beige walls, beige chairs, beige cookies. Everything screamed, Karen. When Maya and I walked in, the room was packed. Whispers filled the air. That's the guy. The cabin mansion. Karen tried to take his land. And then Karen walked in. Not in her usual polo and visor. No, she entered wearing a full navy blazer, a cheap pearl necklace, and a binder the size of a phone book. Her son followed closely, glaring at me like I'd stolen his Xbox. Karen slammed the binder on the table and cleared her throat dramatically. Let's begin. Everyone flinched. She pointed at me. Before we address community concerns, I'd like to bring attention to this man's illegal possession of historical land belonging to the Foreman family. Before I could respond, a neighbor spoke up. Karen, stop. Another. We saw the documents. You lied. Another. You forged papers. Karen's eye twitched. He tricked all of you. He's manipulating legal. I stepped up calmly. Karen, you want the truth laid out? Fine. Let's lay it out. I placed a neat stack of documents on the podium. One by one, I raised my hand for each item. Video of her security goon shoving me. The fake stop work notice, Comic Sans included. The forged lawsuit with the wrong county seal. The arson footage showing her golf cart. The original 1875 land grant. The developer's $2 million contract. A notarized statement from the county surveyor confirming my land is outside the HOA boundary. The room gasped so loudly it echoed. Karen screamed. This is a smear campaign. He's a fraud. Tom stood up. Sit down, Margaret. I will not. Then let's vote, he said calmly. Karen froze. What vote? Tom nodded to the crowd. First vote. Should Margaret Foreman be removed as HOA president? Hands shot up. Not some. Not most. Everyone. A unanimous wave of hands. Karen staggered back like someone had punched her. No, you can't do this. The HOA needs me. Second vote. Tom raised another sheet. Should Whispering Pines HOA be dissolved permanently due to corruption, misconduct, and fraudulent leadership? Silence. Then, hands. Everywhere. Even Karen's own son raised him. Karen let out a strangled sound. You little traitor. He flinched. Mom, I'm not going down for you. Tom turned to me. Ethan, you want to say anything? I stepped forward. I didn't move here to fight. I came to restore a beautiful piece of history. But all of you deserve better than fear and fines and forged nonsense. So whether the HOA stays or goes, make sure no one like her ever leads it again. The room applauded. Karen began trembling. I won't let you do this. I will sue all of you. You'll pay. Deputy Ramirez emerged from the back of the room. Actually, ma'am, you'll be the one answering questions. Karen froze. We have some concerns, he continued, about forged documents, false notices, attempted arson, and obstruction of property. Karen's mouth opened and closed like a confused goldfish. You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president. Ramirez sighed. Not anymore. As he led her out, Karen wailed. This is my son's inheritance. Her son groaned. Mom, please stop saying that. The doors closed behind them. Silence. Then the room erupted in cheers. Tom patted my shoulder. You won. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in weeks. No, I said softly. We all did. With the HOA dissolved, the whole neighborhood felt lighter, like someone had lifted a curse. People walked dogs without fear of fines. Kids rode bikes without helmet inspections. One guy even put up a bright purple mailbox just because he finally could. Karen's downfall was the beginning of a peaceful era. The cabin mansion restoration took another 2 months. We repaired the beams, replaced flooring, restored fireplaces, found antique hardware hidden behind walls, even uncovered a secret message carved into a doorframe. If you're reading this, keep the stories alive. Harlan Blackwood, 1876. And in a strange way, we were. Every board was replaced, every stone reset, every beam sanded. It felt like reviving a soul. To my surprise, neighbors began showing up to help. A retired carpenter spent 3 days rebuilding a staircase. A college kid power washed the entire porch. A baker brought pies as peace offerings from Whispering Pines. Maya teared up watching people work together. This is what a community is supposed to be, she said. One evening, while checking the attic, I found a folded piece of paper wedged behind an old beam. A letter, written by Harlan Blackwood himself. This home was built for those who carry courage, not fear. And whoever restores it, let them know, land is not legacy. Legacy is the strength it brings out in those who protect it. I showed it to Tom. He shook his head. That's the good stuff right there. I smiled. He built this place for dreamers. Tom smiled back. And you kept the dream alive. The cabin mansion finally stood fully restored, solid timber glowing under the warm sunset. The porch lights flickered on. The pines whispered in the wind. Maya wrapped her arms around me. You know, she said softly, I almost gave up. I was scared. I know. But you fought back. We both did. She leaned her head on my shoulder. Do you regret buying this place? I looked at the cabin, the land. The trees are older than time itself. And I shook my head. I'd buy it again 1,000 times. She smiled. What about Karen? I shrugged. She tried to claim this place was her son's inheritance. Maya laughed. So, I said, smiling. Turns out, it was ours. The wind rustled through the pines like applause. The cabin stood strong. And peace, real peace, finally returned.